Welcome to Art That Changed the World, Part 2. Necronom IV by Ridley Giger. In 1977, H.R.Giger published a book of his works titled Necronomicon. The title was a reference to a fictional book of magic from H.P. Lovecraft. Giger's most distinctive stylistic innovation was that of a representation of human bodies and machines in cold, interconnected relationships, which he described as biomechanical. And of course, most of us are familiar with one of the most iconic monsters, the xenomorph, the unrelenting, cold, intelligent, but purely inhuman species that dominated the film industry for many, many years. Giger grew up in a city in close proximity to Nazi Germany, Chur, Switzerland. Giger cited this many times as the source for some of the darkness in his work. Growing up, his parents maintained an atmosphere of fear and hesitancy, using bluish dark lamps to hide the home from bombing planes. Giger talked of open windows that peered out into dark alleys, cellars that were old, dark, and damp. In addition to this fear, Giger had a fascination with bones, skulls, and mummies, and he often talked about this as well as incorporating them into his paintings. In the late 70s, the movie Alien, written by Bannon, was practically on the scrap heap and for a time stalled out when there was lack of ideas and direction as to what the alien would actually look like and how they would make it work. Initially, circus performers were tried, then multiple actors together in the same costume, but neither proved scary or viable. Prior to writing the script for Alien, O'Bannon had worked in France with the Chilean cult movie director Alejandro Jodorowsky and his planned adaptation of Frank Herbert's Dune. There, O'Bannon met H.R.Giger on the set. Giger was actually there because he was introduced to the director by Salvador Dali, who was also asked at that time to contribute to the film. When O'Bannon met Giger, Giger showed him his works. O'Bannon is quoted as saying, "I had never seen anything that was quite as horrible and at the same time as beautiful as his work." The Dune film work collapsed, but O'Bannon remembered Giger. When the book Necronomicon was published, O'Bannon at that time was working on Alien. He bought the book and presented it to Ridley Scott. Scott not only hired Giger to work on the film, he re-envisioned the entire film based on Giger's work. He consulted with Giger and had him on the set. The basis for the xenomorph came from two lithographs in the Necronomicon book that featured a dark, metallic-looking being with the oblong head that would come to characterize the monster. The xenomorph appeared in 8 films as part of both the core Alien franchise and spin-offs, as well as video games, short films, and countless other pop culture references. Giger's work has become a cultural icon and in effect changed our ideas about horror. So why would I pick such a horrific image from a strange artist like H.R. Giger? Giger's Alien is a product born out of an artist's fears and anxiety in a time period that scarred a nation. What I find fascinating about this particular piece is that his painting is the filtering down of those fears into our modern time period. That is how long Nazi Germany has affected our lives. One can also compare this to the paintings and illustrations of Godzilla as well. That monster was someone else's nightmare and anxieties in Japan that has filtered itself down into modern-day archetypes. By addressing his personal fears, Giger tapped into our collective fears, and that in turn influenced generations through film and media. For that reason, I chose H.R. Giger's Necronom IV as a painting that has changed the world.